Hey, you guys, this is Raphael from Relics.com. I hope you're having a great day. We're celebrating Father's Day in Savannah, Tennessee today. I lost my dad a couple of years ago, but all week I've been thinking about how he loved what I did. My dad was the driving force behind my collecting and the passion that turned into my life and my living. And he would follow me when I'd go somewhere, and he'd call and be like, "What'd you get? How was the trip? What did you get? What can you tell me about?" So I've been thinking about that a lot this week. So if you guys will bear with me, I'm going to tell you about something, but I'm going to tell you about it the way that I would tell my dad when he would call. Uh, I'd be riding down the road, and the phone would ring, and I'd be like, "Hey, Pops, what's going on?" And he would tell me a little bit of small talk, and he'd be like, "Well, what'd you get?" And for instance, if I had picked up that kind of coat, I'd be like, "Dad, it's so neat. It's something that I wish you could see." Because he didn't get to come over a lot in those last few years because he was had trouble seeing, and he just, we were lucky we got to have him till 82 years old, so I'm not complaining. But I would be like, "Dad, it's an original Indian War brigadier or major general's frock coat." And he would be like, "Wow, that sounds cool. How do you know it's a major general's?" And it would be like my own little road show, which I was on for 19 years. And he would be like, "Well, how do you know it's a major general's?" I'd be like, "Well, Dad, going down the front, there's 3 rows of 3 buttons. That lets you know the rank. They're grouped in groups of 3 on each side. Brigadier generals are different. This is a major general, so you know who it was, even though it didn't have any collar insignia or shoulder insignia on it." And he like, "Well, that's kind of neat." And he'd be like, "Well, how do you know it's not Civil War?" And so I'd go on and tell him. I'd be like, "Dad, a Civil War coat, they look basically the same, but there's a hell of a lot of difference in the pricing of them. Indian War general like this is a couple grand. Civil War one is 10 to 15 grand for a major general's, because that's a lot of difference. But on the Indian War ones, and this one didn't miss Civil War by much, it has a smaller collar. And if you notice, the collar and the cuffs on this coat are velvet lined. And so it's another little flashy extra that a major general would have to differentiate him from a lowly lieutenant or captain. But it had a smaller collar. It had, the sleeves are different on an Indian War coat from a Civil War coat. Civil War coats, generally, the elbows are wide and puffy, 9 inches on there to 5 inches on the cuff. 9 to 5. Dolly Parton wasn't just correct on the song, she was also correct on a Civil War uniform sleeve. Thank you, Dolly. We appreciate you. But it was fun. It was so much fun because I'd get to explain to him the things that I learned. That he liked Civil War stuff, but he didn't have a passion for it. He collected everything else in the world. He had cars and Victrolas and pinball machines and cuckoo clocks and Avon bottles, and it was something that he had a hoarder's gene, and he would wear secondhand shoes so he could buy more antiques. And but that's where I got my passion from it. And he was an amazing person. He was kind. He was gentle. He was the I was very thankful that he was my dad. And I know a lot of us, especially in my age bracket, I just turned 52, we're losing those people. And it's kind of weird waking up and being that elder statesman of the family, because I wasn't very good at an understatement, much less an elder statesman. But the sharing of collecting, something that a lot of you guys have with your parents, or some with your children. And it's such a wonderful thing. And I hope that you guys get to share that, not only today, but just that time, because looking back, it's such a special thing to get to share those moments. But we would talk. I'd be like, "How's Mom doing?" And it was it was something very special that I took for granted. But I hope you guys are doing well. When I would hang up the phone, I would say a lot of times, not every time, but like especially on Father's Day and their birthdays or anything, I'd tell them of all the people in the world that I could have to be my parents, I wouldn't pick anybody but you guys. So if you have your parents, be sure to say something nice to them today, because you only get one set of them. But I hope you guys are well. I hope you go on to Shiloh Relics. I've got more information on that code. It's available as of this time. But I get a little emotional sometimes, and I'm not going to put y'all through that. So I'll tell you guys like I used to tell Dad when he'd call, tell Mom I love her. And I hope to see you soon, and I sure do love you. I hope y'all have a great Father's Day, and remember to be kind. Love y'all.